In the depths of your being lies a truth so fundamental, yet so often overlooked, that its rediscovery has the power to transform everything. This truth, whispered through the ages by the wisest of sages, reveals that true power flows not from force, but from allowance. The universe operates through an eternal dance of effortless manifestation. Look to nature. A flower does not strain to bloom, a river does not struggle to flow, and the stars do not labor to shine. They simply are, existing in perfect harmony with the cosmic laws that govern all creation. You have been taught that achievement comes through striving, through pushing against the currents of life. Yet this ancient wisdom teaches otherwise. When you cease the endless doing, when you release the grip of constant effort, you tap into a force far greater than any human endeavor could produce. This is not passivity, but rather a state of aligned receptivity. It is the art of stepping into the flow that already exists, of aligning with the natural order that perpetually moves toward abundance and fulfillment. The universe seeks expression through you, but this can only happen when you stop blocking its flow with the very actions you believe will help. Within these stories lies a pathway to power that defies conventional understanding. It is a return to the original state of being, where manifestation occurs not through force of will, but through the perfect alignment with what is. This is the power that creates worlds, that turns dreams into reality, that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. You stand at the threshold of remembering what your soul has always known, that the greatest power comes not from doing, but from being, not from forcing, but from allowing, not from controlling, but from surrendering to the infinite wisdom that orchestrates the cosmos. Part 1, The Awakening of Silent Power. Chapter 1, The Whisper Beneath the Noise. In the quiet hills of a small village, Evelyn tended her garden each morning, just as she had done with her husband for 30 years before his passing. Yet now, in the stillness of her solitude, something shifted. While others offered well-meaning advice about moving on and staying busy, she found herself drawn to the peaceful moments between activities. In these spaces of silence, a gentle knowing emerged, not a voice but a presence that guided her steps with perfect timing, orchestrating encounters and revelations that no amount of planning could have achieved. The greatest power in all creation moves without force. When you cease the endless doing, planning, and striving, you open yourself to the sacred current that has always flowed beneath the surface of your life. This force requires no effort. It asks only for your trust and surrender. It is the ancient wisdom that sages throughout time have discovered. True power lies not in exhaustion, but in alignment. Most souls waste precious energy attempting to control life's river, exhausting themselves swimming against its natural flow. You have been taught that achievement comes through struggle, that success demands constant action. Yet the deepest truths of the universe reveal otherwise. In stillness lies the seed of all manifestation. In silence dwells the power that moves worlds. The universe itself was born not from chaos, but from the perfect stillness that precedes all creation. Along a bustling street in the financial district, Clifford sat in his empty office, surrounded by the remnants of his failed enterprise. 20 years of relentless drive had led to this moment of total loss. With nothing left to lose, he finally stopped planning, stopped worrying, stopped trying to force solutions. In that surrender, something extraordinary occurred. Ideas began flowing effortlessly. Opportunities appeared without effort. The very success that had eluded his grasp now seemed to seek him out, as though it had been waiting all along for him to simply step aside and allow the natural abundance of the universe to reach him. These stories mirror the truth of your own journey. Like Evelyn and Clifford, you have likely spent countless hours pushing against life's natural rhythm, believing that more effort would yield better results. Yet the universe's most potent wisdom lies in the spaces between your thoughts, in the moments when you finally release the need to make things happen. It is in these sacred pauses that your true power awakens, connecting you to the infinite intelligence that has guided all of creation since time immemorial. As the first light of dawn breaks across the horizon, find a quiet place to sit. For 5 minutes, allow yourself to simply be. Focus gently on your breath, not forcing it, but observing its natural rhythm. Release all mental effort, all need to control or direct. Let your thoughts float past like clouds, neither grasping nor pushing them away. In this sacred stillness, listen to the whispers of your soul. For here, in perfect silence, the universe reveals its deepest secrets and most profound gifts, awaiting only your receptive heart to claim them. Chapter 2. The Great Ceasefire Within. In the shadows of a moonlit garden, Franklin sat motionless, his weathered hands resting upon his knees. For years after returning from war, he had carried the battlefield within his mind, fighting phantom enemies in every interaction, tensing at every unexpected sound. Yet on this night, as the evening breeze whispered through the leaves, he discovered a truth that would transform his existence. The war was over, not just in the world but within himself. The peace he had sought in distant lands had always resided in the quiet chambers of his own heart, waiting patiently to be acknowledged. You see, the universe responds not to your actions, but to your frequency. When you wage war with life, resisting what is, fighting what comes, struggling against the current, you create a discord that ripples through the fabric of your reality. This resistance becomes a barrier, blocking the very blessings that seek to find you. Like a radio tuned to static rather than melody, your being cannot receive the harmonious gifts that constantly flow toward you. The law of unforced power reveals that your inner state of being determines what flows into your life. When you cease the internal battle, when you lay down the weapons of worry, control, and resistance, you align with the natural harmony of existence. It is not your striving that brings forth abundance, but your surrender to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all things. In this sacred surrender, you discover that you have never been separate from the source of all creation. In a suburban home across town, Dorothy paced her kitchen floor, her children's schedules and activities mapped out in meticulous detail on the wall calendar. The more she tried to orchestrate their lives, the more chaos erupted. Tantrums increased, grades declined, and the joy of family life dissolved into a daily power struggle. Then one day, exhausted and defeated, she released her grip. She stopped forcing, stopped controlling, stopped demanding perfection. In that space of surrender, something miraculous unfolded. Her children began to flourish naturally, their unique paths unfolding with an ease she had never imagined possible. The garden of her family life, once strangled by the weeds of control, now blossomed with vibrant authenticity. This tale mirrors the truth within your own life. Where are you still at war? What battles do you wage daily, believing that your fighting stance protects you? The power you seek lies not in control, but in release. When you cease struggling against life's current, you discover that the river has always known where to carry you. The universe has been conspiring for your highest good since before you drew your first breath. Take now a piece of paper. Write upon it the one area of your life where you find yourself in constant battle. Feel the weight of this struggle as you hold the paper in your hands. Then, in sacred ceremony, release it, whether through flame or earth. Let this physical act mirror the internal surrender of your spirit. As you watch your written words dissolve or return to the earth, know that you too are dissolving the frequency of resistance within your being. This ritual is not merely symbolic. It is a cosmic declaration of your willingness to flow with, rather than against, the divine current that carries all life toward its highest expression. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Effort. In a small village positioned among rolling hills, Harold toiled from dawn until dusk, his shovel striking the earth with relentless determination. Day after day he dug deeper and wider, convinced that beneath the soil lay the treasure that would change his fortune. The villagers watched as his hole grew larger, yet yielded nothing but more dirt and stones. Harold's hands became calloused, his back bent with strain, but still he dug, driven by an urgent fear that if he stopped he would lose everything. His desperation grew with each passing season, as the hole, now large enough to swallow his modest home, became a monument to his anxious pursuit. You must understand that effort born of fear creates a veil between you and your desires. When you move through life with desperate intensity, you disturb the natural flow of universal forces. Like Harold, you may find yourself expending tremendous energy while moving further from your true path. The universe operates through alignment, not through force. When your actions spring from anxiety or urgency, you create resistance in the very fabric of manifestation. This resistance, invisible yet powerful, blocks the very abundance you seek to attract. Think of the times you have pushed against life's current, believing that more effort would yield better results. Yet the law of attraction responds not to the intensity of your labor, but to the clarity of your energy. When you release the grip of fearful action, you allow the natural forces of manifestation to work unimpeded. It is in this sacred space of surrender that miracles unfold with effortless grace, often in ways far more magnificent than your limited vision could have conceived. This truth revealed itself to Mabel, a merchant who had built her life around constant motion. Her days were filled with endless tasks and ceaseless planning until illness confined her to bed. At first she fought against this enforced rest, certain her world would crumble without her constant attention. Yet as days passed, she witnessed something remarkable. Opportunities she had long pursued began appearing at her door. Business partnerships formed effortlessly, solutions emerged spontaneously, and the very success she had struggled to achieve flowed naturally into her life. What had eluded her through years of striving arrived during weeks of stillness. What Mabel discovered, and what you must now understand, is that your striving often stands between you and your desires. The universe's wisdom far exceeds your careful plans. When you step back from compulsive doing, you create space for divine timing to operate. In this sacred surrender, you align with the ancient rhythms of creation that have guided the unfolding of worlds since time immemorial. Sacred practice. Tomorrow, from sunrise to sunset, resist the urge to force any outcome. Do not try to fix situations that appear broken. Do not rush to fill silences or solve problems. Instead, observe how life unfolds when you release your grip on control. Notice what arrives naturally when you stop interfering with the universe's perfect timing. In your journal, record the moments when solutions appeared without your intervention, when situations resolved themselves, and when desired outcomes manifested through allowing rather than forcing. This practice of conscious surrender will reveal to you the invisible hand of universal intelligence that has always been working on your behalf. Chapter 4. The Way of the River. In a sun-dappled studio at the edge of town, Lucille stood before her canvas, brush poised but motionless. For months, she had tried to force inspiration, scheduling strict painting hours and demanding creativity appear on command. Yet each attempt left her canvas as blank as before. While her spirit grew increasingly rigid with frustration, the joy of creation replaced by the burden of expectation. One autumn morning, breaking from her routine, she wandered to the riverbank near her home. As she watched the water's endless dance, something within her began to soften. The river didn't strain or struggle, it simply flowed, finding its way around every obstacle, transforming the very earth through its gentle persistence. That evening, Lucille painted until dawn, her brush moving like water across the canvas, each stroke an expression of surrender to the current of creativity that had always been waiting for her. You too are meant to flow like water through life. Notice how a stream never fights its way through stone, yet over time creates magnificent canyons. This is the essence of true power, not the force of will, but the wisdom of water. When you align with this natural movement, life carves its masterpiece through you. The ancient sages understood this principle, that true strength lies not in resistance, but in yielding, not in forcing, but in flowing. Warren, a successful executive, believed control was the key to achievement. He scheduled every minute, planned every outcome, and fortified his life against uncertainty. Then came the flood that swept through his meticulously maintained garden. For days he battled against the water with sandbags and pumps, exhausting himself in the process. Only when he finally stepped back did he notice how the flood had deposited rich soil exactly where his garden needed it most, bringing unexpected fertility to ground that had grown barren under his careful control. Like Warren, you may be damming your own flow, believing that rigid control will lead to desired outcomes. Yet the universe moves with a wisdom far beyond your carefully laid plans. When you release your grip on life's current, you allow it to carry you toward possibilities you could never have engineered. This surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of wisdom, an acknowledgement of the perfect order that exists beyond your limited perception. Stand now beside flowing water, be it a mighty river or the simple stream of your shower. Let the sound of moving water remind you of life's natural rhythm. As you watch or feel the water's movement, speak these words with quiet certainty. I allow life to flow through me. Visualize any blockages, your fears, your need for control, your rigid expectations, being gently washed away. Feel yourself becoming as fluid and unstoppable as the water itself, a channel through which the universe expresses its boundless creativity and abundance. Chapter 5, The Power That Answers Only Silence. In a small chapel positioned among ancient oaks, Virginia knelt each morning, her whispered prayers echoing off stone walls that had absorbed countless supplications over centuries. Day after day, she pleaded with the universe, her voice growing hoarse with desperate requests, her knees marked by the cold stone beneath them. Yet the more fervently she spoke, the more distant divine guidance seemed to become. Like a star that recedes the harder one strains to see it. One evening, exhausted from her endless petitions and the weight of unanswered prayers, she simply sat in silence, too weary even for words. As the last rays of sunlight filtered through stained glass, casting prisms of color across her still form, something extraordinary occurred. In the absence of her own voice, she finally heard the whisper of the universe, not in words, but in the profound knowing that arose from her quiet heart, a revelation as gentle yet powerful as the first breath of dawn. You must understand that the universe responds not to endless requests, but to the silent resonance of your being. When you cease the constant asking, the ceaseless stream of words that often mask your true desires, you enter a state of pure receptivity where genuine communion becomes possible. Your energy field, the vibration you emit through your presence, speaks more clearly than any words you could utter, carrying your truth to the farthest corners of creation. This truth manifested powerfully in the life of George, a renowned orator who prided himself on his ability to persuade others through eloquent speech. Despite his mastery of rhetoric and carefully crafted arguments, he found his influence waning. His words, though perfectly crafted like polished gems, seemed to bounce off invisible walls of resistance, leaving his audiences unmoved and his purpose unfulfilled. Everything changed when illness temporarily robbed him of his voice. Forced into silence by circumstances beyond his control, George discovered that his mere presence, when aligned with inner peace, moved people more deeply than his most compelling arguments ever had. His quiet confidence and centered energy drew others naturally to his wisdom, without a single word being spoken. In the eloquence of his silence, he found his greatest power. This mirrors an eternal truth. Your vibrational state is your true voice in the universe. When you align your being with what you seek, rather than constantly asking for it, you enter the frequency where manifestation occurs naturally, effortlessly. The universe responds not to what you say, but to what you are, to the silent symphony of your authentic self resonating with cosmic intention. Sacred practice. As the day draws to a close, find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary for your spirit. Sit comfortably and hold your deepest intention in your heart, not as a demand, but as a treasured truth. For 5 minutes, resist the urge to form words or move your body. Simply be with your desire, letting it pulse silently within you like a beacon. Allow your entire being to become a silent prayer, a pure vibration of intention that transcends language. This practice aligns you with the language of the universe itself, the eloquent silence of pure being, where all creation begins. Chapter 6. The secret the world distracts you from. In the bustling heart of a city that never rests, Marjorie lived her life in perpetual motion. From dawn until dusk, her world pulsed with notifications, calls, and endless streams of information. Like many, she had forgotten what silence felt like until fate intervened with an unexpected power outage that stretched across an entire weekend. At first, the silence felt like an enemy. Her fingers twitched for screens that wouldn't light. Her mind raced for connections that weren't there. But as hours passed, something ancient stirred within her consciousness. Without the constant hum of technology, she began to hear the forgotten language of her own soul. You see, the modern world has created a veil of noise so thick that it obscures the very wisdom you seek. This endless stream of information does not inform, it drowns. Your inner voice, the compass that guides you toward your highest good, speaks in whispers that cannot compete with the shouting of 1,000 notifications. The ancient sages understood this truth, retreating to mountains and deserts not to escape life, but to hear it more clearly. When you allow yourself to step away from the noise, you rediscover a power that has always resided within. This power needs no charging, no updating, no external validation. It simply is, and it has been waiting for you to remember it. It is the same power that has guided seekers throughout the ages, a divine intelligence that flows through all things, including you. Consider Stanley, who filled every moment with podcasts, news feeds, and endless scrolling. His morning routine was a symphony of digital chaos, checking emails while brushing teeth, reading headlines while making coffee, listening to audiobooks while commuting. Yet beneath this carefully crafted productivity lay an exhausted soul yearning for peace. One day, when his devices simultaneously failed, Stanley discovered something remarkable. In the spaces between his thoughts, in the moments he would have filled with noise, he found a wellspring of clarity he never knew existed. The silence he had feared became his greatest teacher. In that sacred stillness, solutions to problems that had plagued him for months suddenly appeared with effortless grace. The truth reveals itself. The external world profits from your distraction, but your spirit thrives in stillness. Every ping, every notification, every headline pulls you further from the wisdom that resides within. Your power does not come from staying connected to the world. It emerges when you reconnect with yourself. This is not merely philosophy. It is the hidden mechanism by which the universe operates. Sacred practice. For the next 24 hours, create a sanctuary of silence. Disconnect from all technology, phones, computers, television, radio. Keep only a simple journal by your side. As thoughts arise, let them flow onto paper. Notice what emerges when the digital world falls away. What whispers do you hear in the silence? What truths have been waiting to surface? Record these discoveries, for they are messages from your own soul, finally given space to speak. This practice, so simple yet profound, has transformed the lives of countless seekers who dared to listen to the wisdom that silence reveals. Chapter 7. The Law That Works in the Shadows. In the depths of an ancient garden where wisdom grows as freely as wildflowers, lived Edith, whose hands knew the language of the soil. Each morning she would plant her seeds and tend to her garden, yet never once did she dig them up to check their progress. Her faith in the unseen process was absolute, unwavering through seasons of drought and abundance alike. You too hold seeds of desire within your heart. Like Edith's garden, these seeds require your trust more than your vigilance. The universe operates in perfect order beneath the surface of your awareness, orchestrating countless invisible movements that will, in time, burst forth into manifestation. This divine orchestration works ceaselessly, whether you perceive it or not, following eternal laws that have guided creation since time immemorial. When you plant a seed, you do not command it to grow. You simply create the conditions for its natural unfoldment. This is the hidden mechanics of the law of attraction. Your role is not to force the flower from the seed, but to maintain the sacred space where growth becomes inevitable. In this gentle guardianship lies your greatest power, the power of allowing. Consider Raymond, who carried within him a dream of artistic expression. For years he struggled, pushing and straining against external circumstances. Then one day he simply began painting in his basement, telling no one. He stopped speaking of his aspirations, ceased seeking approval or validation. In that private sanctuary of creation, something shifted within him. His energy, no longer scattered in endless discussion and debate, concentrated itself in pure expression. The sacred silence became his teacher and his strength. Months passed, and without any effort to promote himself, opportunities began to appear. A neighbor noticed his work through his basement window. A local gallery owner happened to cross his path. His art found its way into the world not through his striving, but through his alignment. The universe, recognizing the authentic vibration of his creation, opened pathways that no amount of forced effort could have revealed. The truth whispers to us through these tales. The most powerful transformations begin in darkness, in silence, in the sacred space where no eyes watch and no voices judge. Like the seed beneath the soil, your desires germinate in the quiet depths of your being. Your task is not to force them into the light, but to trust the wisdom of the process. This ancient principle has guided mystics and manifestors throughout the ages. The universe responds not to your words or your watching, but to your energetic alignment. When you learn to work in harmony with this principle, You become like Edith, patient, trusting, and in perfect harmony with the natural order of manifestation. Your faith becomes the fertile soil in which miracles take root. Sacred practice. Choose one desire that burns within your heart. Today, perform one small action in service of this desire, but hold it close to your soul. Plant this seed in secret, telling no one. Let it be a private covenant between you and the universe. In this silence, feel the power of your alignment growing stronger, knowing that beneath the surface, countless forces are already at work, bringing your desire into form. Trust in this sacred process as the ancients did, for in secrecy, the most powerful magic unfolds. Chapter 8. The Art of Doing Nothing Properly. In a bustling city where the rhythm of life pulsed with endless activity, Agnes measured her worth by the length of her to-do list. Each morning brought a fresh avalanche of tasks, meetings, and obligations, until one day her body made the choice her mind refused to make. Exhausted beyond measure, she collapsed onto her couch, physically unable to continue her relentless pace. What happened next transformed her understanding of power forever. In her forced surrender to rest, something extraordinary awakened within her. The mental fog that had clouded her judgment for years began to lift. Solutions to problems that had haunted her emerged effortlessly. Opportunities she had been chasing revealed themselves naturally, drawn to her newfound state of receptivity. You see, true power does not arise from constant motion. The universe operates through cycles of action and rest, just as nature moves through seasons. When you resist these natural rhythms, you create resistance to the very flow that seeks to bring you what you desire. Walter, a renowned surgeon, learned this truth through his own journey into stillness. For decades, he prided himself on working longer hours than any of his colleagues. His reputation grew, but his inner light dimmed. Only when a health scare forced him to step back did he discover that his greatest contributions came not from his ceaseless activity, but from the wisdom gained in moments of conscious withdrawal. In the quiet spaces between his thoughts, Walter found answers that had eluded his brilliant but overworked mind. His surgical innovations, which would later save countless lives, emerged not from hours of research but from moments of pure, unstructured being. These stories mirror a truth you already know in your bones. Stillness is not the absence of power. It is power in its purest form. When you allow yourself to rest deeply, without guilt or resistance, you align with the natural order of the universe. This alignment is what draws to you everything you have been striving to achieve. Sacred practice. Choose a day within the next week. Set aside 2 hours where you will do absolutely nothing. No books, no music, no meditation apps. Simply be. Let your mind wander. Allow yourself to lie on your bed or sit in your garden, watch the clouds, or study the patterns of light on your wall. Most importantly, release all guilt about this time of doing nothing. Observe how your energy shifts, how your thoughts clarify, and what insights or opportunities naturally arise in the wake of your conscious rest. Remember, this is not laziness, it is spiritual alignment. In these moments of sacred idleness, you become a clear channel through which the universe can work its greatest magic. Chapter 9. The Unseen Hands of the Universe. In the depths of winter, Clara sat alone in her empty house, surrounded by photographs of a life that no longer existed. Her husband's passing had left her adrift, and no amount of planning or effort seemed to restore her sense of direction. Yet in this very moment of complete surrender, when she had exhausted herself trying to rebuild her life, something remarkable began to unfold. Without her seeking them out, neighbors started appearing at her door with warm meals. A distant cousin called unexpectedly, offering to help organize her finances. A part-time position opened at the local library, a place she had always loved but never considered working. One by one, pieces of a new life assembled themselves, guided by an invisible hand she had never noticed before. The universe operates with an intelligence far beyond your comprehension. When you cease your desperate attempts to control every outcome, you create space for this divine orchestration to work in your favor. Your struggles often stem not from a lack of support, but from blocking the very assistance trying to reach you. Consider Eugene, who had spent 20 years pursuing his dream of opening a specific type of restaurant in his hometown. He had tried everything: loans, partnerships, different locations, but nothing materialized. Finally, exhausted and defeated, he released his grip on this long-held desire. Within months, he inherited his aunt's small cafe in a neighboring town. Though different from his original vision, this unexpected gift became the foundation for something far more fulfilling than what he had initially imagined. These stories illuminate a fundamental truth. The universe is not waiting for your perfect plan or tireless effort. It awaits your surrender. When you step back from forcing outcomes, you allow a greater wisdom to arrange circumstances in ways your limited perspective could never conceive. Your role is not to orchestrate every detail of your life's symphony. You are meant to play your part while trusting in the unseen conductor who knows the full score. This trust is not passive. It is the highest form of spiritual action. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and write a letter to the universe. Pour into it every worry, dream, and desire you've been carrying. Hold nothing back. Write as though you're corresponding with an all-knowing, infinitely loving force that has only your highest good in mind. Once complete, choose a location that feels sacred to you, perhaps beneath a tree, near a body of water, or in a special corner of your home. Place the letter there with these words: I release these desires into divine care, trusting they will be handled in perfect timing and in ways that serve the highest good. Leave the letter in its sacred space for 7 days. During this time, watch how life begins to move differently when you truly let go and allow the universe to work on your behalf. Chapter 10. Let go and it is given. In a small coastal town, Hattie spent her evenings watching couples stroll along the shore, her heart aching with loneliness. Each day she would write elaborate lists of qualities she sought in a partner, attend every social gathering she could find, and scrutinize dating profiles until her eyes grew weary. The more desperately she searched, the more love seemed to slip through her fingers like grains of sand. You must understand that the universe responds not to desperation, but to alignment. When you grasp tightly at what you desire, you create resistance that pushes it away. This ancient wisdom reveals that true manifestation occurs in the space of letting go. The law of attraction operates through paradox. What you chase will flee. What you release will return. Your attachment to outcomes creates a frequency of lack, broadcasting to the universe that you believe yourself incomplete. Yet completeness is your natural state, and it is from this place of wholeness that all desires naturally flow to you. In the quiet hills of a mountain village, Leonard spent decades pursuing success, believing it lay just beyond the next achievement. He collected degrees, titles, and accolades, yet satisfaction remained elusive. It wasn't until illness forced him to step back that everything changed. In his withdrawal from the chase, success found him, arriving in forms far more magnificent than his limited vision had imagined. These stories mirror the truth within your own journey. When you release your white-knuckled grip on what you think must be, you create space for what is meant to be. This is not abandonment of your desires, it is profound trust in their inevitable fulfillment. Your release signals to the universe that you are ready to receive. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment as the sun rises or sets. Bring to mind the one thing you most deeply long for. Feel its absence, acknowledge the yearning, then speak these words with conviction. I release this and trust it is already mine. For the next 7 days, let this desire rest in sacred silence. Speak not of it. Chase not after it. Let the universe work unhindered by your interference. In this holy surrender, watch as what is truly yours finds its way home. Part 2, The Flow of Effortless Alignment. Chapter 11, The Magnetic Power of Non-Resistance. In the bustling heart of a city that never slept, Arthur waged daily battles against the world. His jaw clenched at red lights, his words sharp with shop attendants, his spirit armed against life itself. Each morning became a war, each interaction a skirmish, until exhaustion etched permanent lines across his face. Yet in this resistance, he remained blind to a fundamental truth, that his very fight against life's flow was creating the turbulence he sought to escape. You possess within you the power to transmute resistance into flow through one simple shift: acceptance. When you align with what is, rather than fight against it, the universe's momentum becomes your ally rather than your opponent. This ancient wisdom speaks of a force far greater than mere passive resignation. It whispers of active surrender, of saying yes to life's unfolding with such profound trust that resistance dissolves like morning mist. Arthur's transformation began the day weariness finally overcame his will to fight. In that moment of surrender, he whispered yes to a delayed train, yes to a canceled meeting, yes to rain without an umbrella. To his amazement, each acceptance created space for unexpected gifts, a conversation that led to an opportunity, a quiet moment that brought clarity, a detour that led him home. The universe operates through the law of least resistance. Like water flowing around rocks rather than trying to move them, your path becomes effortless when you cease pushing against what is. Your resistance creates the very obstacles you rail against, while your acceptance reveals passages you never knew existed. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, Estelle taught mathematics for 30 years, pride in her methods becoming a shield after her husband's passing. Her need to be right hardened into armor, keeping colleagues and students at a distance. Yet when a young teacher suggested a new approach, something in Estelle softened. Instead of defending her territory, she simply said, yes. That single surrender opened a flood of grace. Her classroom came alive with new energy. Her relationships deepened, and the loneliness she had been fighting quietly lifted. These stories reflect the transformative power waiting in your own surrender. What you resist persists, but what you embrace transforms. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. This is not giving up. It is growing up into spiritual maturity. Sacred practice. As the sun rises tomorrow, identify one area of your life where resistance has become habitual. Throughout the day, whenever this situation arises, practice internal acceptance. Simply say yes within your heart, without judgment or defense. Watch how this subtle shift begins to alter the very fabric of your experience. Let this be your experiment in surrender, your laboratory of acceptance. The universe awaits your permission to show you a gentler way. Chapter 12. When Desires Bloom in Silence. In a small town where everyone knew everyone's dreams, Elmer was known as the man of grand announcements. His voice would fill the local cafe with declarations of future success, his hands gesturing wildly as he shared his latest plans. "Next month," he would proclaim, "I'll open that bookstore." Or, "By summer you'll see my name on that building." Yet year after year his words scattered like leaves in the wind, leaving nothing but empty echoes. Then came the illness that sealed his lips. For weeks Elmer sat in forced silence, his dreams locked within his heart. At first he felt imprisoned by his inability to speak, but gradually something shifted. In the quiet of his recovery, the bookstore he had talked about for years suddenly became available at a price he could afford. The building he had pointed to now sought a new owner, and his application was accepted without question. Within months, his unspoken desires materialized like morning dew, silent, natural, inevitable. The universe responds not to the volume of your declarations, but to the depth of your silent knowing. When you cease to scatter your energy through constant proclamation, it gathers like a hidden spring, growing more powerful in its stillness. Helen's story mirrors this ancient truth. A talented artist, she had shared every creative idea, every project plan, with anyone who would listen. Her enthusiasm spilled over coffee dates and phone calls, leaving her feeling drained and her projects perpetually incomplete. One day, witnessing how a fellow artist quietly unveiled a finished masterpiece that no one knew was in progress, Helen understood. She began holding her creative visions close, like precious seeds planted in fertile soil. In the sanctuary of her silence, her ideas took root and flourished. Her energy, no longer dispersed through endless discussion, concentrated into pure creative force. Your words, when released too freely, can dilute the power of your intentions. Each time you speak of what you desire, you release a portion of the energy needed to manifest it. This is not about secrecy, it is about sacred containment. Like a pressure vessel that builds steam, your silent intentions gather force until manifestation becomes inevitable. Practice. The silence of power. Choose one desire that burns brightest in your heart. For the next 21 days, let it become your sacred secret. Share it with no one, discuss it with no one. Instead, each morning before sunrise, hold this desire in your heart while repeating silently, "In silence my power grows." Let your quiet certainty become the soil from which your manifestation will spring. Chapter 13. The universe only speaks energy. In the hallowed halls of academia, there lived a philosopher named Claude who believed that every mystery of existence could be solved through pure reason. His office walls were lined with dusty volumes of logic and metaphysics, each book a testament to his relentless pursuit of intellectual understanding. You see, Claude approached life as an equation to be solved, a puzzle whose pieces would surely fit if only he thought hard enough. When love entered his life unexpectedly, Claude attempted to analyze it, to break it down into its component parts. He created flowcharts of emotions and spreadsheets of interactions. Yet when his beloved departed without explanation, no amount of logical reasoning could heal his wounded heart. In that moment of profound loss, Claude discovered what you already know in your depths, that life moves not by the mechanics of mind, but by the magnetism of feeling. The universe speaks not in syllogisms, but in vibrations. Your thoughts may chart the course, but it is your emotional frequency that moves mountains. This truth lies at the heart of manifestation, not in what you think, but in what you feel. The mind can only comprehend what has been. The heart creates what will be. Consider Nora, whose scientific training as a nurse led her to doubt anything beyond the measurable. Each day, she documented vital signs and tracked medical outcomes, believing that life followed predictable patterns. Yet something shifted when her favorite patient recovered against all odds, not through medical intervention, but through an inexplicable force that defied her charts and statistics. This experience cracked open her certainty, allowing wonder to seep in. As Nora began to trust her intuition alongside her training, she witnessed more and more moments that her medical texts couldn't explain. She learned to feel her way forward, letting her heart's wisdom guide her hands. The miracles she once dismissed as coincidence now appeared as natural as breathing. Your own journey of manifestation begins not in the stratosphere of thought, but in the depths of feeling. The universe responds not to your mental gymnastics, but to your emotional signature. When you align your heart's frequency with your desires, you become a living prayer. Sacred practice. As the morning sun bathes the world in golden light, create a sanctuary of sound and feeling. Choose music that resonates with the essence of your desired reality. Close your eyes and let the melody carry you into that future state. Don't name it, don't define it, simply feel it. Let your body become an instrument of pure vibration, tuned to the frequency of your dreams. Maintain this state for as long as the music plays, knowing that in these moments of pure feeling you are broadcasting your destiny to the universe. Chapter 14. Shut Your Mouth, Open the Channel. In the quiet halls of an ancient monastery positioned among misty mountains, a transformation unfolded that would reveal one of the universe's most potent secrets. You are about to discover how the power of sacred silence can accelerate manifestation beyond what any words could achieve. Virgil arrived at the monastery as a man known for his eloquent sermons, his voice having filled countless chapels with passionate proclamations of truth. Yet as he took his vow of silence, something extraordinary began to stir within him. In the absence of speech, his inner vision sharpened. Without words to scatter his energy, he found himself touching minds without speaking, healing with a glance, and manifesting with mere intention. The universe, it seemed, had waited patiently behind his cascade of words, ready to work through him once he grew still. When you speak of your desires prematurely, you release the very energy needed to manifest them. Each declaration dilutes the power that could have been directed inward, where real transformation occurs. The universe responds not to your words, but to the concentrated force of your silent knowing. Consider Ruth, a talented artist who spoke endlessly of her dreams to anyone who would listen. She shared her visions of galleries and exhibitions, described every painting she would create, and told everyone about her future success. Yet with each telling, her dreams seemed to recede further into the distance, becoming more like stories than possibilities. Then, through an inner prompting, she sealed her lips and turned her energy inward. She painted in solitude, held her visions close, and protected them from the dissipating effect of casual conversation. Within months, opportunities began appearing as if by magic. Gallery owners discovered her work. Collectors sought her out, and her art began speaking for itself. You see yourself in these stories, don't you? How often have you felt your dreams grow distant with each retelling? The universe operates through sacred silence, through the magnetic power of contained energy. When you hold your desires in the sacred vessel of silence, you allow them to gather power, to crystallize into form. Sacred practice. Select one precious goal that burns in your heart. For 7 days, let no word of it pass your lips. Each morning, before the world awakens, sit in silence and feel this desire as already fulfilled. Direct all the energy you would have used in speaking about it into this silent communion. Watch as the universe begins responding not to your words, but to your silent certainty. Chapter 15. The field responds to calm. In a sun-scorched valley, where hope had withered like the crops beneath the merciless sky, Lyle stood at the edge of his barren fields. For months, he had paced and worried, checking weather reports obsessively and trying every method to coax water from the heavens. His prayers grew more desperate with each passing day, until exhaustion finally forced him to surrender. One morning, something shifted. Instead of fighting against the drought, Lyle sat quietly on his porch, accepting what was. In that moment of perfect calm, he felt at one with the parched earth beneath him. His breathing slowed, his mind cleared, and a profound peace washed over him. That very evening, clouds gathered on the horizon, and by nightfall, gentle rain blessed his land. This truth echoes through the ages. The universe mirrors your internal state. When you cultivate inner stillness, the outer world responds in kind. Your thoughts and emotions create ripples in the invisible field that surrounds you, affecting everything within its reach. Like a still pond that perfectly reflects the sky above, a calm mind allows the universe to work through you unimpeded. Consider how water behaves. In turbulence, it becomes muddy and chaotic. But in stillness, it naturally clarifies. Your consciousness works the same way. When you cease the internal struggle, solutions arise effortlessly and circumstances align naturally. Edna's story reflects this same principle. As her wedding day approached, she found herself caught in a whirlwind of details, vendors, and family demands. The more she tried to control every aspect, the more things seemed to unravel. It wasn't until she fell ill and was forced to rest that everything changed. In her bedbound serenity, she discovered that plans fell into place with surprising ease. The very things she had struggled to arrange came together perfectly when she stopped forcing them. What Edna discovered, and what you must understand, is that peace is not passive. It is powerfully magnetic. When you maintain inner calm, you become a still point in a turning world, and life organizes itself around your serenity. The ancient practice of still waters. As the first light touches the horizon each morning, find a quiet space. Sit comfortably, allowing your spine to rise naturally toward the heavens. Begin the sacred breath. Inhale for 4 counts, filling your being with pure potential. Hold this breath for 7 counts, letting peace permeate every cell. Then release for 8 counts, allowing all resistance to flow away. Continue this rhythm until you feel your internal waters grow still and clear. In this space of perfect calm, you become one with the creative force of the universe itself. Chapter 16. Let it be and it becomes. In the heart of a bustling city lived Leon, an inventor whose workshop buzzed with the constant hum of machinery and the weight of unrealized dreams. Each morning, he would arrive before dawn, determined to perfect his revolutionary energy device. His hands trembled with caffeine and determination as he adjusted every component with obsessive precision. Yet the more he tried to control each variable, the further success seemed to slip away. One winter morning, after another failed test, Leon did something unprecedented. He walked away, not in defeat, but in surrender to a deeper wisdom that whispered, "Let go." He packed away his blueprints, cleared his workbench, and for the first time in years allowed himself to breathe without the burden of forcing an outcome. 3 months later, a retired engineer discovered Leon's abandoned patent application. Intrigued by the potential he saw, he shared it with investors who had the resources to develop it properly. The very project Leon had released came back to him, transformed by forces beyond his control. The universe operates through sacred principles that often defy human logic. When you release your grip on what you desire most, you create space for divine orchestration to work through channels you could never have engineered. This truth reveals itself time and again to those who dare to trust in the wisdom of letting go. Consider Pearl, whose small bakery struggled under the weight of her constant intervention. She tried to control every aspect, from the precise temperature of her ovens to the exact arrangement of every display, yet success eluded her until the day her old mixer broke down, forcing her to adapt. In that space of uncertainty, she discovered that her customers preferred the slight variations in her breads, the organic nature of her displays, and the peaceful energy that now filled her shop when she stopped trying to manage every detail. These stories mirror the ancient truth that is whispered